Hey, what's going on everybody? Hope you're doing great. In this video, we will compare the iQOO 15 against the OnePlus 15 in terms of camera performance. Before we start the comparison, just like always, both of these devices are my own, purchased with my own money. So if you want to support this kind of non-sponsored content, you may donate whatever you wish to the payment address given in the description. And please consider hitting the subscribe button and hyping my videos. That way, I get more visibility and it helps me continue my YouTube journey. With that said, let's start the video. Alright, first I want to start with the hardware comparison. You can see the specs here. The biggest difference is the telephoto setup. The iQOO 15 has a much bigger sensor and the lens also has a wider aperture. So the telephoto comparison will be the most interesting. The OnePlus 15 does have a better selfie setup with a much larger sensor and autofocus. So let's start with the video comparison. First, let's take a look at the feature set differences. Actually, here OnePlus may seem to have more features, but all of those features pale in comparison to the one feature that iQOO has and is something that I always appreciated iQOO and Veo for. So in terms of frame rate, the OnePlus can shoot up to 120 FPS in 4K. The iQOO is limited to 60 FPS at 4K, but it can do 240 FPS real in 1080p. The OnePlus supports log profile for all three lenses up to 4K 120 FPS, but there is no official OnePlus log to Rec 79 LUT as of now. The iQOO doesn't have a first party log profile option. The OnePlus supports Dolby Vision HDR recording on all three lenses, plus the selfie camera at up to 4K 60 FPS and 4K 120 FPS on the main lens. The iQOO doesn't have HDR video recording feature on the stock camera app. And finally, the OnePlus can shoot portrait mode video at up to 4K 30 FPS with the main and telephoto sensors. The iQOO is limited to 1080p 30 FPS. Now all of these features seem to give the OnePlus an upper hand, but the iQOO has a feature that should frankly be standard on all phones, which is the ability to disable noise reduction in Pro Video mode. You may add 4K 120 log, HDR and everything else, but if the noise reduction comes in and just destroys all the detail, then what's even the point? I have a dedicated video on iQOO's Pro Video mode. Go check it out. I'm sure you will be amazed. No YouTuber will cover this and it's a damn shame. The iQOO's Pro Video mode is also more professional. Obviously, there is the critical ability to disable noise reduction. You also get access to more frame rate options from 24 FPS to 240 FPS, and you can choose between 3 metering modes if you are using auto exposure without touching any of the settings. The OnePlus does not even provide metering options in Pro Video mode, which is crazy. Finally, the iQOO allows you to pause the video during recording in Pro Video mode. Meanwhile, did OnePlus simply forget to add this ability to pause video in Pro Video mode? Pretty shocking, guys. So, taking a look at 4K 60 FPS video quality with the main sensor during the day, I prefer OnePlus's more flatter look. I prefer videos to have less contrast. It helps capture more dynamic range and is better for editing. The iQOO is too contrasty in this case, in my opinion, but it definitely captures more detail in the final image because the noise reduction can be disabled. The same holds true for the ultra-wide sensor. I like the overall look of the OnePlus here, but the iQOO is capturing more detail. For telephoto, it is surprising. The OnePlus is actually capturing both better colors and more detail in this example than iQOO, even though iQOO has a much better sensor. However, in this second example, in this very high dynamic range scene, the iQOO's aggressive processing is able to balance the edge scene better. It looks more processed than OnePlus, but I feel it is effective in this example. For stabilization, both the iQOO and the OnePlus are almost the same. It's hard to separate the two, to be honest. However, in low light, iQOO's noise reduction in auto mode is extreme, and OnePlus ends up capturing a lot more detail. Disabling noise reduction on the iQOO significantly improves the detail, but now the footage is extremely noisy. The same holds true for the ultrawide, where the OnePlus's noise reduction algorithm is more balanced, but still the noise reduction look is very distracting. Here I do prefer iQOO's Pro Video mode footage without the noise reduction. It's more detailed, but the noise is less distracting. For the telephoto, I prefer OnePlus's footage over iQOO, but again I feel disabling noise reduction is just about more usable. When it comes to the selfie video though, I give the slight edge to the OnePlus 15. Besides, it has autofocus as well, so you can do product showcase like this. Here is a comparison of the portrait mode video, and the OnePlus 15 is much superior. Better colors, better bokeh quality, and much more detailed. Also, the autofocus tracking is much better. As you can see, it's able to keep real focus on my face as I walk towards the camera. Here are a couple of 4K 120fps footage from the OnePlus 15. I did not want to leave this out as this is not available on the iQOO 15. Overall, when it comes to video, I'm gonna be honest here, I give the win to the iQOO 15. The much better pro video mode for someone like me is a big win. Honestly, you can just use the iQOO 15 in pro video mode all the time with auto exposure settings. Now the OnePlus does have more features, so if you value those feature advantages, then you may choose the OnePlus. Okay, moving on to photos now. First, let's take a look at the raw images shot using the stock camera app at 1000 ISO. To me, it looks like the iQOO 15 is applying some noise reduction. The noise looks a little smeared, but anyways, for the main sensor, it is very similar as expected. On the ultra wide, you will probably agree that iQOO is applying some noise reduction. As you can see, it has much less noise but doesn't look as sharp and defined as the OnePlus. So in reality, both of these are actually very similar. If you would denoise the OnePlus, it may end up looking like the iQOO. But to be honest, I do not appreciate baked in noise reduction in raw photos like we see in the iQOO. For telephoto, which has the biggest difference in hardware between the two phones, the iQOO is superior. Yes, iQOO has some baked in noise reduction, but unlike in the ultra wide example, here the iQOO still has same detail as the OnePlus. So basically same detail but lesser noise. So no surprises here, iQOO's telephoto is superior when it comes to raw photos. Okay, before looking at the regular photos, here is a quick look at portrait mode and selfies on both phones. I only shot using the telephoto lens as it's the correct choice for portrait mode. Here it's hard to choose a winner. I prefer the OnePlus's color science. It looks a bit more natural, and I also prefer the bokeh quality. Zooming in, the iQOO is also more sharpened. The OnePlus looks a bit more natural to me. That's it. Overall, it's just too close to call, guys. Realistically speaking, both of these are like almost equal when it comes to portrait mode. However, for selfies, the OnePlus is a clear winner. It has much more accurate skin tones and much better detail capture both during the day and during the night. Alright, finally let's take a look at regular photos starting with daytime with the main lens. And here the OnePlus's auto upscaling comes in clutch. The images are extremely detailed without that over sharpened look compared to the iQOO. I mean, just look at this extreme crop. Just look how detailed the texture on the OnePlus 15 is without a hint of over sharpening. It's almost raw like. You have to pay attention to the edges and see how thin they are, which represents natural detail, not sharpening. Skin tones are more accurate both with the sun facing the subject or behind the subject on the OnePlus. Skin tones on the iQOO are just straight up weird, greenish, yellowish, as if I'm suffering from jaundice or something. HDR scenes are also handled in a much more balanced way on the OnePlus. The difference is even bigger for the ultra-wide sensor. The OnePlus 15's upscaling makes a huge difference in the final image. The detail retention on the OnePlus 15 with the ultra-wide photos is much better than the iQOO. It's actually a massive difference in favor of the OnePlus 15. Now for the telephoto, it is a bit tricky. Sometimes the iQOO is better with detail capture, other times it's the OnePlus. It keeps going back and forth. Couple of times I've spotted some strange processing on the iQOO. Like, take a look at this relatively simple photo. Zooming in, you can see these vertical line pattern which looks very ugly. One thing I must say is that the autofocus on the telephoto for objects in the 2-meter range is much better on the OnePlus. On the iQOO, you have to tap to focus to get the focus right. Also notice the larger sensor and aperture on the iQOO is creating a shallower depth of field despite having a shorter focal length. Moving on to low light, starting with the main sensor. Most of the time I found OnePlus to be a bit better because I'm noticing that the upscaling now works more frequently in night compared to before. So whenever the upscaling activates, the OnePlus does end up capturing more detail, and that is happening more often now. The ultra wide though is a clear win for the OnePlus. Almost every image at night with the ultra wide is better on the OnePlus 15. It simply captures more detail. Finally, for the telephoto, I would say the iQOO edges out the OnePlus 15. Here, the iQOO's massive hardware advantage helps it pull through, and I would say overall, the images either pack the same or more detail most of the times. So iQOO is better for low light telephoto by a small margin. So that's the end of the comparison, guys. To summarize, iQOO's Pro Video Mode gives it a considerable advantage for video recording, at least for those who are looking to capture the best detail. For me, it makes a bigger difference than having 4K 120 log and HDR. But if you want those features like 4K 120 first party log, 4K portrait mode video and HDR, then obviously the OnePlus will be a better suit for you. For photos though, OnePlus is better for main, ultra wide and selfie both in day and at night. Telephoto is a tie during the day, but iQOO edges out during the night. Okay guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you want to support this kind of non-sponsored content, you may donate whatever you wish to the payment address given in the description. Also consider hitting that subscribe button and hyping my videos. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace guys.